My name is Luther A. Blackwell Jr. I'm a music teacher. I also make films, conductor, singer. I do quite a few different things.
That's more than enough. So, and the name of the company is
Blackwell School of Music and Film, and then there's Blackwell Entertainment CT.
Excellent. We're going to get more into that in a second, but a couple of months ago, a guitarist that I really looked up to passed, Leslie West, and he once said to me that if he could change the world, he would give everybody an instrument, preferably a guitar, but an instrument. Do you think, can anybody play an instrument? Can everybody play an instrument?
Yeah, well, matter of fact, everybody should play an instrument. And, and if we go back in time, music was a required course in schools. Music, either you played an instrument or you were involved in a singing group. But they know through scientific studies that music helps you to use both sides of your brain. It's just, it's been recently, I guess, around the 70s and 80s, they started like, okay, we don't really want to fund music that much. Let's put that on the back burner. And you see what's happening to the schools. You see what happens to the kids' grades, because music is so important. So anybody can learn how to play music and be successful at it, but it doesn't mean that everybody's going to be a musician. The music just helps them to open up their thinking and to use both sides of their brains. That's what's the important part of it.
I have to tell you, I feel like, and in the interest of full disclosure, I'm spending some time with Mr. Blackwell learning an instrument, and I feel like you're teaching me a new language.
And music is a universal language, because when I was in high school, I toured to Poland. Now, I couldn't speak the language, but when we got finished singing, we were mobbed like we were rock stars or hip hop artists. We finished singing. We were in a castle. We had to run to the back room, and there were guards that were holding the kids and the people back. Now, they didn't understand what we were saying, but they felt the music, and that music was dictating to them that, we were singing about love and brotherhood. So yeah, music is a total different language that basically anybody can understand.
So true. And the appreciation for the arts, sometimes I do feel like we could take a page out of some other areas of the world's book. I was in Moscow and I saw a ballet. Now, I have no interest in the ballet, but you talk about being treated like rock stars. The folks in the ballet were tantamount to the A-Rods and the LeBrons here.
Well, that's it. In Europe, they respect music much more, than Americans. Now, Americans, they love music because of the business side. It makes money, and it makes big money. In Europe, they love music because music touches their souls. And so they're walking around listening to music. They listen to all like different these independent artists, and they respect music. My brother, he taught Japanese in Japan for 3 years. So he's a linguistics, and so I didn't realize, how really fluent he was in Japanese, because he was teaching them how to speak English. So he had to know the whole dialect and everything. And so, so they're going back and forth. So the thing is, he would go to nightclubs and he would call me. He said, Luther, you gotta come over here. He said, I'm telling you, you would become a superstar overnight. All the talent you have and what you can do, you would become a superstar overnight. And I go, I'm not concerned about becoming a superstar. So, I could have done it a long time ago. But my thing, just for him to realize how much they appreciate music is so important.
I wonder if, and this is part of the reason why we asked you here today. I've been doing a series on how people are spending their time during this pandemic. I mean, we're a year into it now, and also small businesses in the area and how they're impacted. But I wonder if the pandemic hasn't done anything in allowing people to slow down a little bit and maybe find a new appreciation for music, or, as in my case, find the time to do something you've always wanted to do, which is, pick up a horn and learn how to play it. Talk to us about how your business has changed, I guess, virtually teaching students versus in person, and any renewed or new interest in the arts and music and learning how to play an instrument.
My business has changed so much since the pandemic. I was doing in-person teaching. I had maybe about 2 or 3 students I was teaching online. I have a studio in Bridgeport, and I'm one of the musical directors at New Hope Missionary Baptist Church in Bridgeport. And so I would have people come, and I give them their one-on-one lessons there. Well, when the pandemic hit, I said, okay, well, we can't do this in-person thing. And like maybe 2 months ahead of time, I had asked God, I said, I really would like more students online. And so when the pandemic hit, it was like, okay, sit back and just wait. Right now, all my students are online. I teach over 40 students a week, and I teach all over the world. My farthest student was in Dubai. And then I have a student in Singapore, China, who I've been teaching for over 3 years. So the pandemic changed it. So now I'm teaching students all over the world, where I would have never had that chance, because, there's no way I could teach somebody like Friday. I teach somebody in Vermont. Then I jump to Florida and teach somebody, and they're right after each other, teach somebody in Florida, and then come back and teach somebody in Bridgeport. And then on Friday nights, 9:00 our time, and 9 a.m. their time, Saturday morning, I'm teaching somebody in Singapore, China. So it's like the pandemic has really opened up my business to make it worldwide. And because I was ready for that, and that's one of the things that I wanted to do, so I could teach more students around the world. So the pandemic, it did hurt a lot of people. It really didn't hurt me that much. It it opened up other doors for me.
But I guess logistically for you to teach, there had to be like a learning curve, right? For you and for your students. I mean, I don't know any other way. I started working with you during the pandemic, so this is how I'm used to it. But for folks who might be used to being in a room with you, it could be different.
Well, yeah. It matter of fact, there were like maybe 2 or 3 students that didn't want to be taught online. They need that in person. And so they were on piano, they were vocal. And I understood. I said, but this is the direction I have to head in. One of the problems that I had is teaching string instruments as younger students, because their instruments have to be tuned. And usually, I would tune the violin, the viola, the cello. So I'm tuning these instruments for them, but now they have to tune it, or their parents have to tune it, and they have to learn how to tune it. And so that was one of the problems that I faced. I said, like, oh my God, I said, God, how I'm going to do this? And I said, you know what? I'm not going to teach these kind of instruments online, because I don't know how to do it. But so the Spirit led me, okay, if you solve that problem, then you can move forward, because it was a problem. And so I said, you know what? Okay, let me learn how to solve this problem. So I tell students when they first come on, Your first lesson is just going to be us learning how to tune your instrument. Okay. So if you have a half hour lesson, it's going to take a little bit more than a half hour. Sometimes I'll go over, but I use that first lesson to teach them how to tune the instrument, and then also tell them now you have to check that instrument every time before your lessons to make sure it's in tune. You download a tuner on your phone or your iPad, and this is what you have to do to check it. Once I got that solved, then it was a breeze, because that was one of the hardest things, teaching the string instruments how to tune their instruments, and also guitar and bass. But it was a little bit easier because once they turn their pegs on a guitar or bass, it usually stays in tune. But with violin, cello, viola, you can tune that peg, but if you don't push it in, the string can come loose. So that was a whole thing too, and then fine tuning it. So yeah, so there were different problems that I had to resolve, and just getting students comfortable. And one of the things that I do, I like to teach the way the student learns. Like, some students need to be working out of the book, 100% out of the book. Some students need to have supplementary materials, and then go to the book, and then come out of the book and do some other things, then go back to the book. And then some students want to learn by ear. So I'll teach by ear, but I'm also going to teach them how to learn the music too, so they know exactly what they're playing. And then you get students that I have students that want to major in music. This is what they want to do for a living. So that's a whole different approach than dealing with somebody. Well, this is just like a hobby. Okay. So we don't have to get really hard on some of the things, the theory and everything right away.
Some of these things, though, will be skills that probably will serve them better in the long run, like learning how to tune your own instrument, right? I mean, that probably is an added skill that they'll be thankful for later on.
Well, the tuning of the instruments usually comes later, in the study of the instrument. So when you first begin, you don't have beginning students worrying about tuning. And so that's a thing that happens when we're one-on-one, because the teacher helps to tune. Like, even in schools and stuff, there's the young orchestras. The teacher goes around and makes sure every student's violin, string instrument is in tune. The flutes are in tune and stuff like that. So they learn that later on in their studies. But when you're doing online, this is something you got to tackle at the very beginning. So it's something that you got to bring to the front of the teaching.
The thing I would say is that for people listening who may be considering this, I can't explain to you other than to say it just kind of works. If you're reluctant because you don't know how it would, logistically how it would work, a Zoom call like this or on Google Duo, it just does.
And that's the thing, it's one of the teacher's responsibility to make it work. And so if a teacher is not spending the time to learn how to, like I said, solve the problems, because you're going to come up with problems. Now I'll give you an example. One of the things that I find with my horn students, saxophone, trumpet, trombone and stuff, a lot of times they're playing their instrument and they don't know if they're playing the right note or not. Some note is coming out, but they don't know if it's the right note. So one of the things I have to do, I have to make soundtracks. I make soundtracks and send it to them. And now during our lessons, they can play the soundtrack, and now they can hear the right note. And so they discover, oh, okay, I am playing the right note. Or if they're not playing the right note, because we'll talk about the trumpet that you're learning, you found out there's 3 or 4 different notes you can play by pressing that first valve.
But I'll say this, boy, I know when it's not right.
Exactly.
When I'm off, I'm real off.
Yeah, and you catch it, and that's the thing. And so once you start hearing the note, then it starts resonating, and you can find it. So that's one of the things that I had to solve, because one of the things, if I play while you're playing, our sound hits each other and it dissipates, so you don't really hear it, or we have a lag in there. So I solved that problem by I have to make tracks for my students,
and it works.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk. Bridgeport's home base for me and for my company and for the radio station. How has New Hope, that's the church you're involved with on
Right.
Park Ave, how have they adapted? What is it like now, a year later, in the COVID era? I mean, it sounds like musically things haven't changed, or they've returned to normal.
No, matter of fact, a lot of the music that I was doing at the church, I don't do there anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I don't do that. Now I may go in. I go, matter of fact, once a week on Wednesdays. I have a gospel group and a recording group, and so we go in and we practice and we work on original music. But besides that, no, there's not really a lot of music going on. And even during the services, they don't have, where we had choirs, we have maybe one person may sing now, with a mask on. It's just totally different.
Yeah.
The thing about New Hope, they have a feeding program, Kitchen of Hope, and they feed over 1,200 people, homeless people, a month. And so they were doing Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Since COVID started, well, they don't do Monday and Wednesday now. They do Fridays, but people they get bag lunches to take out. So they come and get their bag lunch. So they don't even come in the building. So they set up outside. But if it rains or snows, they'll set up in the hallway. They'll come in one door, go out the next door. So that has changed because Kitchen of Hope, I mean, the meals were like restaurant meals. They were fantastic. My students would come in for their lessons and they'd be like,
stick around for, yeah.
They go like, Mr. Blackwell, where's that good smell coming from? I say,
yeah.
we're feeding the homeless. They say, I think I want a plate, But yeah, Sister Brown, oh, she's a fantastic cook. But they made sure the people are getting good meals, good healthy meals.
Yeah, we talk about, and then we'll have one other question before I let you go. But we talk about, music being a part of the soul and how important it is in when we practice our faith. When I was based out of Myrtle Ave in Bridgeport, we lived there for many years, and on Saturday and Sunday, there was a church on every corner, and a lot of Baptist churches, and the music that would come out in the summer when the doors would fly open was just phenomenal.
Yes.
Sometimes at competing times,
Yeah. Well, basically everybody starts their service around the same time.
Yeah.
And so you got all this music happening, all this preaching happening. They're having their Bible studies basically on the same days. There's a lot of stuff happening in the churches. But since the pandemic, some of the churches haven't even reopened at all.
And that's the reality, is you could see the ones that were struggling leading into it, and the ones that were probably a little better off. So we hope that they all make it through in the South End. And I guess my last question for you is, how do you know so many instruments?
It's a gift from God. It's a gift from God. He has blessed me. I can learn stuff really quick. And I just have that gift. We all have different gifts. And I discovered, I learned instruments real quick and I can relate it. But one of the things that helped me is because I know piano. I started on guitar, but then a church wanted me to accompany their choir. And I go, okay, I can't play guitar and accompany them, because you got all these different parts happening. And a lot of times they can't hear it. They can't hear their parts on guitar. And so I said, and I was young. So I was about 16 or 17. And I said, you know what? I better learn how to play this piano if I'm going to do music as a career. And so I started learning how to play the piano. My teacher, the late Mr. Jesse Chapman, he was a concert pianist. And so he toured Europe for like 3 or 4 years concertizing. And so he taught me how to play. And so with learning that, I could learn how to apply all the other music. I went to Oberlin Conservatory of Music for a voice major. Then I went to Berklee School of Music as a jazz guitarist. And so all that information, learning how to arrange and all the different instruments. So, and I conduct, so I can conduct orchestras, bands, choirs, but it's a gift from God. I give him all the credit.
All right. Well, I want to give you an opportunity to invite people to check out your organization, your company, and any other phone numbers or website addresses they might need.
If they want to get in contact with me, they can reach me at www.blackwellentertainmentct.biz. That's my website that I sell all my products. That's www.blackwellentertainmentct.biz. If you want to know more about my music school, is Blackwell School of Music and Film.com. That's Blackwell School of Music and Film.com. And that's where I, have people sign up for lessons.
Well, I hope it's not too long before A, I could meet you in person, and B, that we see you on Park Ave in Bridgeport, back where you belong at New Hope, and getting out there again. I mean, you got to miss performing for people, I'm assuming.
Well, I like performing, but my big thing, I always have liked being behind the scene. The thing that I do right now with my gospel group, I'm getting ready to set up concerts, at different locations for the summer. We're going to be doing a big Mother's Day and Father's Day concert. We're combining it so fathers can get some respect.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, they forget about all the work and stuff we do all year long. And so we're going to combine that. And then I'm working on some videos for the gospel group. And so we have a new CD that'll be coming out this year. It's the Luther A. Blackwell Jr. project. We have our first single we released last year was O Thou Most High, and it's getting a lot of plays on gospel radio stations. One of the things you did ask me that I don't think I answered about people studying during the pandemic. I think music will help to resolve some of those tensions and depressions, and you start learning how that discipline, okay? Because music really makes you become disciplined in any and everything. I have the Chief Justice of Connecticut is my guitar student, okay? I have doctors.
You're like a therapist.
Well, and they tell me, their music is like, it helps them to use both sides of their brain, and it helps to relax them. So I tell students, I say, listen, just because you do music doesn't mean you're going to be a musician for a career, but you can do music that will help you to open your mind up to whatever vocation you want to do. So don't say, well, I'm not going to be a musician and stuff, so I don't really need to focus. No, focus on your music, because that discipline goes into whatever you want to do in life. And when I tell students that I have doctors, lawyers, judges that are my students, then their eyes open up. You mean they still play? I go, yeah, because they understand the value of their music.
And you know what's funny is truly successful people. First of all, I noticed one trait. Truly successful people seem to get up very early in the morning. That's number one that I find. And number two is that they're just better at or more skilled at making use of their time. We all have the same amount of hours every day.
24 hours, but you got to learn how to manage those hours to become successful.
Yeah.
And the music, the arts discipline you to do that. Because if you have to you're learning something and go, okay, it's going to take me 15 minutes to do the repetition on this. And that's what some of the students don't want to do. They don't want to do repetition. They think if I play it once, oh, I got it. No, you do not have it. You got to do
your whole notes before you do your quarter notes.
There you go.
Listen, thank you so much. And I think that we'll definitely have you back. And I appreciate the look into a small business like yours and how it's adapted.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, John, for having me on.